Hey, beautiful people, welcome to my podcast, Gist Amara's Couch, and I remain your host, Abba Marachi. And if this is your first time tuning in, I'm so glad you're here. If you're a regular, you already know the vibe. We have real, honest, and meaningful conversations here. So, today, I want to talk about something that's been heavy on my heart and maybe on yours too. Let's talk about love, but not just the butterflies and good morning texts kind of love. I mean the type that challenges you, shapes you, and sometimes, if we are not even careful, changes us into something we don't even recognize. So, today we're going to be talking about loving without losing yourself, part 1. It's quite lengthy, so I'll see how to work on just a few parts, then dive into another by next week. So now the question is, have you ever found yourself so deep in a relationship that you're still fading into the background of your own life? I don't want to say I've been there, but let's leave that for another day. But let's really talk about it, right? And let's really understand what it really looks like to lose yourself. Because most times you get into a relationship and you start losing yourself even without your knowledge. And let me start with this. Losing yourself doesn't happen all at once. Like, you don't sit down to have a board meeting. You're telling your board of directors, you know what? I want to lose myself in this relationship today. No. It's not like one very big decision. It's the little things. Like always saying yes, even when your heart is screaming and saying, nah, not today. It's also giving up your weekend plans just to be available for people that are not even, I don't know, are not even supposed to be. You give up your weekend plans for these people. It's also letting go of your hobbies you once loved, but because they don't fit into the new vibe of the relationship, you just say, you know what, I don't think I want to do these things again. And don't get me wrong, compromise is part of love. But one thing about compromise is this: when it turns into consistent self-abandonment, that's when it gets dangerous. I remember a friend of mine, and she met me and she said, you know what, I feel lost. And I said, why do you think you feel lost? And she said, I looked into the mirror one day and I didn't even recognize who I was any longer. I had become a version of myself that only existed to keep the relationship going. I'm like, how did you get to this point? And truth is, that hit me differently because you know what? Love should make you grow and not shrink you. It shouldn't make you a shadow of yourself. And I'm going to tell you the signs that you're shrinking in that relationship or that you're shrinking to keep your peace. Because it's a thin line between thinking that you're building a relationship and losing yourself in it. So let's even keep it real at this point. What does it mean to shrink in a relationship? One, you're scared to speak your mind because you're afraid of conflict. You see that point when you get to and you can't speak up, you can't say what's hurting you because you don't want conflict to spring up. That's a point where you're already in a shell, you're already walking on eggshells. I'm not saying you should just go all out blabbing, and that's why it is very important to know when and where to speak. You cannot be saying the right things at the wrong time. The lady might not be at the right frame of mind to take everything you're saying all in at a point, or the guy in particular. So you must understand when to speak to your partner. But if you are this person who usually speaks at the right time and at the right place and it still brings up conflict, then you're already in a wrong relationship. And over time you're going to see that you're going to have to shrink yourself to fit that relationship. Another point is you feel like you can't be your full self around this person, like you're too much is a problem. That's already a problem for you, where you cannot be real. I'm not saying you should go overboard with being real and throw the whole mannerism out of the window. There's no decorum around you because you want to be yourself. Being yourself doesn't mean you have to be MAD. You still have to have some sanity even when you're trying to be yourself. But if all of these things are in place and someone still feels like you're doing too much, you just have to fake it when you're around those people or fit into the kind of things you feel like they like. Truth is, you're already shrinking yourself. Why should you be in a place or at a place where you're not accepted, where you cannot laugh? Just imagine you're from a family that have so much love, and you have probably siblings where you have all the phones together, you laugh, you just, and all of a sudden you can have that kind of freedom, you can have that kind of love, that kind of life, because somebody is not allowing you to express yourself freely. That is a sign that you're gradually getting strength. Then another one is you stop doing the things that used to bring you joy because they don't approve. You stop going for that meeting, you stop going for those get-togethers, you stop going for trainings, for even your fellowship as a Christian in church. Why? Because you're with somebody. It could be a guy, it could be a girl. Your life is just over because you're in love. That's really a problem, please. You cannot end your life to fit into another person's life because of love. Like I said earlier, it should make you grow. It should make you become a better version and not make you become a shadow of yourself. Then when you find yourself apologizing, even when you're not wrong, just to avoid another argument, then it's a very terrible situation. Understand the fact that when it concerns marriage is an institution. Your relationship or your dating stage is not an institution. So let's get it right. There's sometimes I've listened to people who are already married and doing very well in their marriages. They'll tell you that, during an argument or a conflict, it was really not their fault, but they just knew at some point the Holy Spirit had to tell them, you know what, girl, you know what, guy, you have to go and apologize, even when it wasn't their fault. But because it was an instruction, they had to go apologize and things got back to normal. So truth is, in marriage, there are times you just have to, you know what, break the door, break the rules, because they have to be peace. So this is different from a relationship where you know this person is wrong and they never apologize. You have to be the one always apologizing because you want peace to reign. I don't know how else to say it, but it means you're really bringing yourself to fit into that hole that is not supposed to be a hole for you. So I don't know how to say, but I feel like it's just like you tiptoeing around someone who should have been your safe space. You know what it means to have a safe space? You go out there, you meet the balls and holes of life, and you just know, you know what, this is one person I can get back to on a phone call and there's peace restored almost immediately. If this isn't happening, I don't know why you're still there. And the hardest part, you start believing that this is what love is supposed to feel like. But it's not. But let me say this loud and clear. Love is not meant to make you smaller. Love is not meant to silence you. If you have to shrink to fit in, then it's not your size. You have to shrink, you have to bring yourself to their level. Then it's not your size at all. I already said I understand the part of compromise. But where compromise is making you less of yourself, then you should have a recheck to know if you're getting shrinked in that relationship or you're getting better in that relationship. Then the third point I would be leaving us with, and I think that'll be my last, and let's see what next week holds for the next episode, is the importance of self-awareness and personal growth. And this is where healing starts. Self-awareness. Before you can show up in a relationship as your full self, you need to know who that self is. So these can work for people who are yet to get into a relationship, or people who have gotten into a relationship that probably shrinked them and they're about to realize themselves and get better before getting into a relationship. So you need to understand what your boundaries are, what are your non-negotiables, what lights you up, what drains you. Growth doesn't pause just because you're in love. Do you understand? The world doesn't stop moving because, Amara is in love, or there's an Alex in love, or there's an Emmanuel in love. It doesn't stop. Things will keep evolving. So love would definitely, or growth would definitely not have a pause because you're in love. In fact, love should inspire your growth. Read books, take that course, deepen your walk with God, go for therapy, heal, reflect. And listen, your worth doesn't come from who you're dating. I feel this is something everybody should understand. Your worth doesn't come from whom you're dating or who you're dating or what you bring to the table. Okay, I know this should be for my ladies. We would always say, what do you bring to the table? You're the table. You bring your presence. You bring peace. You bring strength. You bring purpose. Just by being who God has made you to be. So if you're living in the purpose and the assignment of God, then I don't see why anybody should struggle to ask you what you're bringing to the table, because you just become a very valuable person and you're just coming up to be a non-entity to this person or to your environment or to your world. So I know this can be a lot, but I want you to sit with these thoughts today. Have you been losing yourself to love? Have you been silencing your voice just to be chosen? It's okay to love deeply. I'm a deep lover. I love to love so deep. I love to give it all, right? But not at the expense of your identity, right? So next week, we'll continue this conversation with how to maintain your voice, your values, and your visions while loving well. And I promise it's going to be a good one. So stay positive for next week. Until then, please take good care of your hearts, because even the Bible has made us understand that out of the heart springs out the issues of life. So please take good care of your heart. Until next week, I still remain your amazing host, Abba Marachi. Enjoy the rest of your day.